Hello, check. 1, 2. All right. Hello, everybody. On this Thursday, December 3rd, I am your host, Alderoth, and this is Quest of the Mental. All right. I'm going to do this episode on a topic that's been kind of sticking out to me. Stigmata. And it kind of, it came to me a bit over Thanksgiving. And it came sort of from a family member, and I thought it was bad because it came from a family member, but doing some research on Psychology Today, the website, if you type in stigma, mental health stigma, and you go to the Psychology Today link, they have some pretty good information in the link from studies that were done. And it shows that majority of stigma that people with mental health, the majority of the stigma that you get comes from either teachers and doctors or from your family, which is really fucked up. Like, that's the most jacked up thing in the world. Like, I was sitting here thinking that when I got onto the internet and like I would start digging up some information and start looking around, I would see like bullies from school, like that little asshole down the street who just, will not leave you alone. The little group of kids who just make fun of you because they don't understand, but, not, your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father, your aunts, your uncles, your uncle twice removed. Like, I never really thought of that until this past Thanksgiving. I dealt with a family member who really sits high on their horse. And they've always been on their high horse when it came to me. They've always kind of hated the fact that I never took a traditional route with anything. Like, in order for me to get things done, I've always kind of gone down into the dirt to do things, I never got a college degree, never was very good scholastically, but I did well in the military. I did well when I pursued music on my own. I'm doing well, with the Quest of the Mental stuff. I do well when I go after things on my own accord, and they don't like it. They hate it. They hate every aspect of it. So that they kind of attack me from time to time. And I try to explain, look, I don't understand academia. I can't grasp it. I don't understand the busy work. And I wish I could. I mean, it would make my life so much easier if I could just fall in line like you did. And of course, they take that as an insult. And of course, they come up with all these different things as to why I'm a fuck up and I'm all these different things. So it's very hurtful. It stings because it's coming from a place. It's coming from the heart, or it's coming from, family. It's the inner circle. It's supposed to be the inner sanctum of trust. And when the inner sanctum of trust is tainted, where do you go? Like, who are you going to rely on if that's broken? You know what I mean? So it's the whole stigma thing is very interesting, especially now reading these articles, or this one from Psychology Today, where this study was done in Europe. It was, I believe it was around 2010 is when they did it. So it's a bit dated, and things, I will say things have gotten a bit better. There's a little bit more, how can I put it? there's a little bit more knowledge, I guess. There's a little bit more understanding. People are now, championing mental health and mental awareness, but they still have stigmas. Like, if somebody has a mental break, people freak out because they think people are dangerous. That's the number one reason why people are scared of people with mental disorders, and that's been proven in the studies that they've done. People are the reason why there is stigma is because they're scared of those people. They think they're dangerous. Even with drug addicts, and I'm a drug addict, they think people like me are dangerous. That we're just going to flip. We're going to murder everybody. We're just going to go on these wild, crazy sprees and do all sorts of just asinine things just without reason. And that's not the case. It's ridiculous. But that is the number one reason. The most commonly, this is from the article, the most commonly held belief was that people with mental health problems were dangerous, especially those with schizophrenia, alcoholism, and drug dependence. That's straight from the article on Psychology Today. So those things hurt. It hurts a lot. And as much as people want to say, oh, I don't have those biases. Yes, you do. Run into a drug addict, okay? Run into somebody who's having a psychotic moment. Run into a bipolar person with psychotic, what do they call it? Psychotic attributes. Run into a schizophrenic off their meds. Run into any of those people and tell me how you feel. Are you going to be helpful? Are you going to try to help them find a hospital, get them to an ER? Are you going to try to find a medical professional? Or are you going to call the cops? You going to freak the fuck out and run away? I mean, I can pretty much tell you what you're going to do. Right? Now, of course, if somebody's trying to hurt you, call the police. That's a no-brainer. But if they're not trying to hurt anybody, they're just looking for help, or they're disoriented, or they're, they don't know what's going on. There's no reason to be scared. It's just, they need help. But people have manipulated the crazy thing to mean dangerous. And therefore, we've created this really bad stigma. And they mentioned there is two types of stigma. There is social stigma, and there is, what was it? Self-stigma. So social stigma is the prejudice that everyone has towards a mental illness, and then self-stigma is what we have towards what we have internally. So if we, like myself, I have bipolar 2 with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. I have my own stigmas about those things. That is self-stigma. Now, you add my own stigma on top of, say, my family member's stigma. Now I've got a double dose, right? My plate is beyond full with bullshit, right? And it sucks. It adds on a whole lot more anxiety to my daily life. Now I've got to prove even more to more people because I feel like I've got to overcome not only my self-stigma, but I've got to overcome someone else's stigma. So stigma is just bad all the way around. The other thing that they mention in this article is that even people who know about mental health disorders, this goes into psychiatrists, mental health professionals of every sort, they even hold biases. They even have stigmas towards mental health because of the way societies have viewed mental health. So even people who know what mental disorders are, know what their characteristics, even if they saw them in the wild, they still hold stigmas because that's what society has kind of done. Isn't that just fucking crazy? I mean, the one people who are supposed to help, they still hold stigmas. They said that even medical professionals who are training to become doctors, if they have a mental health disorder and it is known that they have a mental health disorder, their instructors will treat them differently because they have a mental health disorder. That is the weirdest shit in the world to me. To me, that it seems like if you have a disorder or you have a disability and you're trying to be a doctor, psychiatrist, a nurse, an anesthesiologist, radiological technician, I don't know, an optometrist, any sort of medical profession, you would be treated with the utmost respect, no matter what you have going on. Because, I mean, it's a medical condition, and that should not defer from anything. But apparently, even with those conditions, you still can be treated differently because we have stigmas. As I said before, these social stigmas in our societies. We have those social stigmas. People will always be treated differently. I think that's just the most jacked up thing in the world. But now, self-stigma. Self-stigma, I feel like that's something you can do something about. I mean, it deals with the self. And if you can grow to be okay with what you're dealing with what you're going through, then it's not so bad that nobody else can. Does that make any sense? I mean, I'm not saying you're going to be okay with everything overnight. You know what I mean? Like you can't get over a toothache in a day. You know what I mean? So like you find ways to start training yourself to accept that this is the way that you are, this is the way that you're going to be. Me with bipolar for the past year, November 8th, was 1 year sober and 1 year treating bipolar 2 disorder, along with, 20 years trying to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, and, of course, anxiety disorder. Learning about bipolar 2, I've learned a lot about my moods and the way that I perceive the world. And that I've learned that a lot of ways that I perceive the world is wrong. That, the way that I think of people and things is a bit too sensitive. And I need to learn to let a lot of things go and not be so hard, not only on myself, but on others. See, that's my way of helping with my own self-stigma, because if I sat and focused on it for too long, I would just beat myself up over and over and over again, and I would drive myself insane. I would. I mean, it would just carry me over the edge, and you can't do that. And then also worrying about what other people think. If I let the two carry me over, it's just going to be too much. It's just going to be way, 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 way too much. So, if you can't do anything else, if there's nothing else you can do, take care of yourself, okay? Doesn't matter, and I know you hear this shit a lot. Everybody hears it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I understand. But truthfully, it doesn't matter what they think right now. Don't worry about it. Try to fix yourself, or at least get comfortable with yourself. That's the main thing. Get comfortable with who you are and who you're just going to be. Because who you are and who you're going to be, that's just always going to be you. Be okay with that. And I'm talking about the medical stuff and all that. Now, if you're an asshole, don't just be comfortable with being an asshole. You know what? You get what I'm saying. I'm just saying, be okay with your disorders, So, anyway, deal with that self-stigma part, because social stigma, that's going to have to change on a bigger scale. Like, it's going to have to be I don't know, it'd have to be like an epic change. And I don't think, even with the whole mental health awareness month and with stars coming out talking about how they suffer with this disorder and that disorder, I don't think we're at a point right now where enough people care. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think enough people care. That's my honest opinion. So anyway, I'm gonna go, and you guys take care of yourselves. That's the main point of today's show. Take care of that self-stigma, deal with that, and try not to worry about the self-stigma, or the social stigma. Just let that stuff roll off your back. Try to. All right. I'm Alderoth. This has been Quest of the Mental, and I'm out. Peace.